This is Chargers Now. I am your host, Will Ortner, and we have to talk about the candidates that the Chargers have interviewed for their defensive coordinator position, as well as a couple of names that I would like the Chargers to reach out to as potential candidates as well in today's show. So we're going to get into the news and a little bit of the Chargers rumors. Why should you sub to the channel? Because we got news for the Chargers, rumors for the Chargers, analysis on the different moves that the Chargers have made. We're going to keep you up to date with everything going on in trades, free agency, the draft, more. We always like to hear what you have to say down below in the comment section. We are growing rapidly in the bigger of a channel that we get, the more videos that we can possibly do. So if you love the LA Chargers, go on down and smash that sub button. The first candidate that the Chargers interviewed was Dennard Wilson. He was a person that spent some time in Tennessee, did a fantastic job with the Titans, and so of course it made sense for Jim Harbaugh and the rest of that Chargers front office to go and get an interview with him. Now it is important to note that Dennard Wilson, I can personally guarantee, will not be the defensive coordinator in LA next season, because he was hired to be the defensive coordinator for the Giants. John Harbaugh stepped in and stole a potential candidate for Jim Harbaugh. I wanted to lead off the show just making sure that you understood that Wilson was interviewed, but he was no longer a real candidate for the Chargers. Now, it is important to note we do have some real potential candidates for the team in LA, for our favorite team in LA. Starting with Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He came in and interviewed with the Chargers early last week. And I think it's important to say with a guy like Orr, he's a person that I don't necessarily think that I would target as a potential defensive coordinator candidate. Not because I think that Orr is a bad DC, but just because I've seen that Ravens defense the last couple of years go from a team that struggles early in the season to eventually figuring it out late. I'd rather have a defensive coordinator that knows what his team is and is instantly going to be able to get the most out of them. Remember, when Kyle Hamilton wasn't on the field in Baltimore, Orr's defense really struggled. So to me, personally, I'd stay away. The next guy that I want to talk about is Aubrey Pleasant, the passing game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. He came in and interviewed with the Chargers, again, early last week. Now that the Chargers have more opportunities to interview Pleasant because the Rams are no longer in the postseason, this is someone that you could see come in as a second interview type. Not a bad young option, a guy who's had, more than a cup of coffee in the National Football League, so he gets what he's doing. But I also think that you saw Rams defense do fairly well this season, and I think that you saw him get the most out of the talent that he had on the back end. That was the back end, the weak point of that defense that was going on over there in LA, across town rivals. Yeah, but at the end of the day, what's most important is a guy like Aubrey Pleasant has shown that he can be successful in the National Football League, so he would not be someone that was a bad option that you'd want to stay with the Chargers for quite some time. Next guy that was interviewed was, of course, an in-house candidate, and that, of course, was Roney. I think that this is a smart decision. The Chargers showed this type of thinking earlier on with the offensive coordinator position, where they would hire or at least interview internal candidates. Give guys who are in the system already, in the organization already, an opportunity to showcase what they've got. When I look at a guy like Roney, I personally would not hire him as the Chargers defensive coordinator, not because I don't think that he is a good coach, but because I think that there are better internal candidates. So to me, it would make sense for the Chargers to kind of stay away here. Adam Fuller was the next coach that came in and interviewed for the Chargers. He's been the safeties coach now in LA for quite some time, doing a fantastic job. Obviously, this defense was stellar. When you look at a guy like Fuller, he's a little bit of an older option, but he's also a coach that has shown that he can be successful. Is he ready for the type of promotion that it would take to become a defensive coordinator? Again, I don't know that he would be my number one internal candidate, but he's definitely someone that the Chargers should take a deep look at. And he's definitely someone that it was smart of the Chargers to bring in, have that conversation, have that interview, because it does show potential position coaches down the line, potential analysts down the line, that this is an organization that does listen to coaches who are already on staff and has the potential to promote them. Let me know down below in the comment section. This is where we get your opinion on who you want the Chargers' next DC to be. Let me know. It could be someone that we talk about that's already interviewed. It could be a potential target that we talk about when we get to Will Ortner's Chargers defensive coordinator candidates that I'd like to see get interviewed or have an opportunity to get the job. Or it can be someone who is completely off the list, off the radar. Let me know your opinion down below in the comment section. Now, when it comes to someone being hired that is already on staff, it is my personal opinion. Steve Clinkscale, the DB's coach for the Chargers, Clinkscale should be the number one option. He's someone who's had a lot of success under Jim Harbaugh, spent a lot of time creating and helping mold this defensive system, coached under Jesse Minter as well, a guy who also coached under Wink Martindale. He has been successful everywhere that he goes. I think that if you're going to promote someone from within, and if your goal as the Chargers organization is to be to promote continuity, right, to continue what Jesse Minter was doing well, Clinkscale would be the number one choice. And I think a lot of Chargers fans would agree with me on that. When I look at some other potential DC targets that have not really come up yet, Anthony Weaver is the one that jumps off the page to me. Now, Weaver is up for a couple of different head coaching positions, so that could be why he hasn't been brought in. Obviously, Weaver trying to get a head coaching position, get that promotion, having already been a defensive coordinator in Miami, but he is someone that could easily be added into this list, and he could have a lot of success as that DC. And while you wouldn't be promoting that continuity through Jesse Minter, you would be promoting someone who has done the job before and done the job fairly well. Wink Martindale is someone that could be a potential target. Obviously, over in Michigan, he had a lot of success under Jim Harbaugh. I know that Harbaugh, Jim, and John, I should say the Harbaughs, are known for kind of using a lot of the same guys, right? A lot of retreads, a lot of guys that have had success as a position coach or as a coordinator for Jim end up coaching for John and vice versa. This would be a perfect situation where you could bring Wink Martindale back and maybe there's some success that can be had in that defense. I don't know if he would be my top target, but it is someone that you could potentially see interview for that job. Mike Elston would be another internal candidate that I would love to see get an interview in LA, mainly because of what was the strength of this team, what was the edge rushers and the defensive line, and Elston did a fantastic job with that defensive line crew, making sure that they came in and got the most out of the players' abilities. Don't be shocked if you see him get an interview for this position, and I think that it's one that he has definitely earned. The last potential candidate that you could see interview for this spot is Chris Hewitt, the passing game coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, it's important to note that while the Colts defense definitely fell off in the back end of the year, there were a lot of injuries there, and Hewitt did make the most out of the situation. You have to kind of more so judge that defense from what they were doing early on in the season when everyone was healthy, and I felt that Hewitt did a fantastic job of that. So these are some candidates that while they have not interviewed yet, I would not be shocked, and I do think that the Chargers should at least kick the tires on. Buckle up for a fun offseason. We've already seen the Chargers go through the OC search. Obviously, today becoming official. Our guy, Mike McDaniel, had his interview. He signed off on the paperwork. He will be the offensive coordinator in LA for the Chargers. Very excited to see what the offense is going to do, and I'm very excited to see what Jim Harbaugh and the rest of that Chargers front office brings in for that defensive coordinator position. That was already the strength of this team, and I do think that they can continue to build on the success that Jesse Minter had there before he left to be the head coach over for the Baltimore Ravens. Make sure that you hit that sub button if this is your first time seeing the channel. Obviously, we are a smaller channel here by Chat Sports standards, but we are growing rapidly every single day. If you love the LA Chargers and you want the latest news, rumors, and analysis on the team, hit that sub button. Pretty soon we'll get to 2K subscribers, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to do even more videos on the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video, and bolt up.